Afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. So today is the last full day of the retreat, and probably a good opportunity to take the time to maybe review what is useful, or what is a theme to pick up and use for reflection, or use to take with one. Say both in one's practice, but then also in one's in one's daily life. What comes to my mind is just the word balance. That comes to me is reflecting on Ajahn Chah and him being asked, what is Dhamma, or what's the nature of Dhamma, and him saying Dhamma is balance, but it's also the way that he expressed it in the Thai language is Dhamma ku kong padi, and which means a sense of just right, sense of balance, a sense of just rightness, that's it's a beautiful quality to be reflecting on, because one, it's not, when we talk about the middle way of the Buddhas, it isn't just a middle way of splitting the difference between our bad qualities and our good qualities, and whatever is the easiest sort of route to sort of not have to to give up anything, but to actually there's this balance of just rightness, so that that just right quality has the power and strength to overcome our delusions, overcome our habitual reactions to things around us, and to have in a place of ease and clarity that is really balanced, really just right. So that reflecting on that just rightness of the Dhamma, and the just rightness of our practice, and our just rightness of how we live that practice. and of course, once you start thinking of it like that, it's sort of all of a sudden it becomes quite nuanced, and there's a certain refinement that is required, and that arises. One of the sets of teachings that the Buddha gives that I think are quite essential for bringing us to that place of balance and just rightness is the spiritual faculties, spiritual powers, faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom. Sometimes really sati, samadhi, panya. Those are faculties within our being and within our practice that need to be cultivated, and of course they need to be cultivated in a balanced way. And as is, say, the nature of the Dhamma, there is a certain progression in the sense, because faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom. It seems like a nice kind of linear progression to get a bit of faith so that you have some energy, apply that energy to mindfulness. The more mindfulness one has, the more samadhi, concentration, and as one gets one's concentration together, then there's wisdom arises. It's a really neat little package, straight line, all in order, and that's a bit deceptive, and you start realizing that the path is both there is a certain linear progression to it. In the same way I was talking in the questions yesterday, there's a certain assumption of a linear requirement of developing mindfulness of breathing, and but you have to recognize that it's kind of, it's like, and we say you look at your hand. Okay, I say there's 5 fingers. There you go. You start with your small, your little finger. Okay, faith. Up, nice sort of line. But then you start realizing, well, no, it actually fits in together in so many ways, and and then each one. Kind of like in the way that our thumb is able to go back and forth, our fingers work together. That's those faith and they feed into each other, they support each other, and they work together, and so that and also there's a certain need for balance within those spiritual faculties of faith and wisdom. The first and the last ones, faith and wisdom, being a pair that support each other, balance each other. Too much faith without wisdom is out of balance and is just sort of blind belief. Too much wisdom, not enough faith, becomes just kind of clever and even to a certain degree sometimes cynical, which is where we end up sometimes in our, say, modern culture. Energy and concentration. There needs to be some energy or some effort that's there in order for a sense of focus to arise, but then sometimes too much energy becomes unbalanced and is leads to restlessness, agitation, too much concentration, too much fixing the mind object and just holding to it. It leads to dullness, so that energy needs to be brought up or effort needs to be brought up. So the sense of this constant balancing that's needed, and that's the function of mindfulness or recollectedness, to be able to bring to mind and recollect what actually is an appropriate balance, what actually works, and that's that's one of your more important qualities in practice of what's actually working, what feels right, and we have to again, we have to rely on those 5 spiritual faculties to get a sense of what's working, what's beneficial, what helps in the actual meditation practice, what helps in day-to-day life, what qualities can I carry into my life that would help to establish this sense of balance, and of course it's always helpful to remember that they say that the Buddha just kept emphasizing over and over and over again, I teach only 2 things, sort of suffering and the ending of suffering. And so this has a purpose, has a goal, and that is a experiential goal. It's not a philosophical goal. It's not just a conceptual goal. It is a sense of what is the there is a result, that sense of ease and well-being. And Ajahn Chah one time, somebody, a journalist, asking, well, what's the goal of practice? What's the purpose of the practice? And why do you practice? And Ajahn Chah was, well, why do you eat? You eat to be overcome the dukkha of being hungry, experience a sense of fullness, and it's a very practical goal. And so because you can turn religious and spiritual practice into this highly conceptualized, speculation and overlook why do we practice? What do we hope to gain from the practice? And that of course it's a sense of we hope to gain a sense of ease, of peace, of contentment, of well-being, of happiness, of understanding, and kind of a sense of confidence, and that's all one recognizes the kind of fundamental dissatisfaction that we tend to feel, and wanting to come to an understanding, a realization of the cessation of that feeling of lack, a sense of fullness and peace. So, and that's not, you can't just sort of wave the magic wand of the Buddha's words and and somehow it all disappears. You have to practice. You have to put the teachings into practice, and you have to put the teachings into practice in a very balanced way. So a sense of balance, a sense of just rightness, as Ajahn Chah was saying. This is the nature of Dhamma, both in terms of its result, but also of how it is implemented, how it's lived, how it's practiced, and that sense of balance. And these spiritual faculties are a great foundation for that, and of course that I think one of the things with approaching these 5 spiritual faculties is reflecting on, does it have right view as a basis, and the Buddha's perspective of right view, as when we chanted the chant on the Noble Eightfold Path. Right view is right view of the Four Noble Truths. This is dukkha. This is the origin of dukkha. This is the cessation of dukkha. This is the path leading to the cessation of dukkha. It is your fundamental right view that leads to and realization. So that it's you're using certain element of say of wisdom, of discernment, and that but wanting to make sure that sense of balance is grounded in the right view, the right perspective of the Buddha's Dhamma and his approach. But then as we start to parse it out and reflect on the particular qualities that are supportive and helpful for understanding, for our realization, and which faith is a because we don't faith, confidence, trust, conviction, all of the different translations. It shines a light on this fundamental ability or aspect of the mind that it does have a certain trust. When you say get in a car in the morning to go somewhere, you're getting a new day, and you have a certain trust that you remember how to drive the car, and it's not somebody. It doesn't necessarily have to be this incredibly exalted faith in spiritual enlightenment and whatnot. But you start recognizing, there is this fundamental trust and faith, and we do have that to do anything. But then we want to employ that saddha, that faith and confidence in a particular way that nurtures our in service of a goal of from dukkha, and that classic definition especially in the Theravada, of what faith is faith in the awakening of the Buddha. That in the Pali is called Tathagata Bodhisattva. So you have faith in the awakening of the Tathagata, that the Buddha was an awakened being. But that sense of in terms of faith and confidence that nourishes our practice, it's sort of, whatever qualities that we see or say have confidence in the Buddha, say that the Buddha was an awakened being, is also a quality and are qualities that are in us. It's not other. It's not just out there. It is in this heart, because that's in terms of that nature of Dhamma. One of the qualities that we chant over and over again every day, but we chant the qualities of Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, particularly the Dhamma, open, and it's leading inwards. It's being drawn into the heart itself, and it's not sort of just being placed out there. It's being drawn into the heart, and so that those qualities, we're not devoid of the quality of the possibility of awakening, and that's certainly what the Buddha himself taught. If you did not have this capability or this ability to realize truth, then I wouldn't teach it. But because you have, everyone has this capability of realizing truth, seeing awakening, and then I teach it. And and of course, there's so much of the Buddha's teachings are actually teaching the tools that help support us. So that having that faith and confidence that whatever qualities that we see in the Buddha, in our teachers, and that they're inherent in us. So that's an important part of this faculty of faith, of saddha. Another aspect is, of course, is giving it attention, so that devotion or trust is given more airtime, or given more importance, so that it becomes stronger than any doubt or uncertainty that we have. And we all have doubts and uncertainty of say, nature of waking. We have doubts or uncertainty in our ability to that, but to be able to, to be able to attend to this quality of the spiritual faculty of faith, of saddha, so that it does have it becomes stronger. It is stronger than the doubts and uncertainties that we do have. So that you try to annihilate doubt and uncertainty, or completely ignore it and suppress it, but it's sort of, no, you want to just, you acknowledge it, you recognize it, but you want to be giving attention to those aspects that are supportive of that faith and confidence, or maybe it's like a certitude, giving oneself that opportunity to experience a sense of confidence and certitude, and just not be feeding the uncertainties that. But no, they don't have to be. They don't have to be fed in the same way that one recognizes that we have all sorts of unskillful qualities. Just because we have that doesn't mean we're defined by that. We all have our irritations and aversions and our desires and our obsessions, but we don't have to be feeding them all the time. We don't have to define ourselves by that. So in the same way, we want to, it isn't as if faith is some magical quality that just somehow only appears in spiritually realized being. You pay attention to it, you feed it, you support it, you encourage it, because it's such a skillful quality, and lays a foundation for our cultivation of the path. And another aspect of, say, as we continue to cultivate or to nourish that faculty of faith is that recognizing that there's very beautiful qualities that arise when we do pay attention to faith in a skillful way, and certainly one of the distinguishing features of say like a balanced faith or kind of a solid kind of saddha is there's always a sense of like a humility or a very humble respect that comes up, and or maybe like an admiration for that do trust their inner nature, who do trust their ability to awaken and live in an awakened way. And of course, this all comes about not just through belief, but it comes about through practicing, living the Dhamma, and seeing in a very clear and tangible way that it's quite natural. In the same way, why do you eat? Why do you? Ajahn Chah's rhetorical question: why do you eat? It's not that because every time you have a very solid confidence that if I eat something, it's going to start to both nourish me and fill me up and allay hunger. And it's just you see it over and over again, and so it's not just some ageless confidence. It's just through your continued application and commitment and putting the teachings into practice. That sense of confidence and certitude arises, but it's also there is a sense of humble respect and admiration, kind of a certain awe, really. Wow, this really works. and it's so that and it also kind of shows a continued confidence and longing in say increased or as the essence of the Dhamma. It's a real longing for truth and a real longing, and so that sense of Sattva. So it's where it is balanced by reflection, investigation, and say the wisdom faculty. I think it is, the recognition that the Buddha places faith as your first spiritual faculty is not and it is that isn't just random. It's important to pay attention to how do we nourish a good, balanced, just right quality of confidence, and that's coupled with a kind of humility and a certain feeling of awe of the possibility of putting these teachings into practice and living a life of Dhamma. Bringing these spiritual faculties into the meditation, but bringing it into our daily life, the retreat will end, but and you want to what do I rely on to continue to cultivate, to continue to grow in the Dhamma, so that these faculty of faith, faculty of wisdom, they support each other, they balance each other, they create a just right quality, faculty of effort or energy, and its balance of samadhi, of collectedness, I always hesitate to use the word concentration because, just by its very nature, the word concentration means that, to concentrate something is to make it smaller. And really, that's not what we do. We don't meditate to make our minds smaller. We do that pretty good on our own. We meditate to make our minds more expansive, and this sense of an expansive quality of mind. I think one of the one of the qualities that is in Visuddhimagga and the Abhidhamma, referring to samadhi, is non-wavering, which is a really that non-wavering quality, but also, and I think that sense of expansive is really helpful. We become, our mindfulness is in service of the heart, filling, expanding, being less subject to this wavering of the and shaking of the moods and proliferation, conceptualization. And of course, let's say that mindfulness is always needed with these different these spiritual faculties, and so that that cultivation of awareness, attention, mindful, recollectedness, where we are recollecting what is a good balance here, what is going to help this quality of just rightness to arise. And sometimes it requires effort and energy. We have to put forth some energy, like giving a talk at 4 o'clock in the morning for me is not my go-to option for how to start the day. So I have to put forth some energy to do that. And but I was saying yesterday to the group that's here. I said, it's just been really delightful to practice together and in the space we're in. But then, starting the day really early and getting a good solid period of time that sets the tone for the whole day, and that, so it's that energy bears fruit, and it has results, and of course that when it goes out of balance is when it's okay, you're putting forth energy and you're reverberating, and that's not very good energy. It's too much. It's just too agitated, too restless, and that's not helpful. And that's where that sense of, say, non-wavering is so important. That samadhi, that composure, and making solid the capacity of the mind to attend to things, so making it solid, not getting too trapped, and then also, but not getting too fixed or rigid, because if we get too fixed or rigid, we keep sort of concentrating, and the mind becomes kind of dull, and there's a torpor there. It's thick. It's kind of wading through the molasses of the mind. It's not very bright, and so that being able to be attentive, be alert, and recognize that these 5 spiritual faculties, they are there's a just rightness, there's a working together, but again for the purpose of seeing and understanding and realize the Four Noble Truths: suffering, cause of suffering, cessation of suffering, path leading to cessation of suffering. Everything comes back to this experiential these teachings and this practice that we bring into our daily life, and we bring it into our living in the world, not being trapped by the ways that we do create dissatisfaction, discontent, dis-ease in the heart, and then recognizing that, yes, there is there is suffering, there is discontent, dis-ease, but it's there to be, say, there is an appropriate response to that, and that is, it needs to be understood. It needs to be known clearly. And when it's known clearly, we have to discern the causes. What are the, because nothing, I mean, this is a fundamental aspect of the Buddha's teachings, is that everything arises from a cause. If one is going to penetrate the true nature of things, the causes have to be discerned, and one needs to, and particularly the causes of suffering need to be relinquished. They need to be let go of. They need to be abandoned. Abandoning is lightening the load. Remember Ajahn Chah sort of saying, like we keep trying to get rid of suffering by piling on more things, like piling on more. If I just do more of this, if I just get more of that, if I just do, and we pile on more burdens for ourselves. What we have to do is learn how to let go. We have to learn how to relinquish. We have to learn how to abandon those causes of dukkha. As the cessation of suffering, the appropriate response to that is, it is to be realized. And in the sense of making it real. It's not just some fantasy that one hopes might be the case, but it's making it real and recognizing that there is a cessation of suffering is not beyond our capability. And I think I brought it up in one of my previous talks, of that aspect of, say, the truth of cessation, nirosacca. So that it is also an equally valid and absolutely important perspective on cessation, nirodha, is non-arising. So that when we don't create suffering, we don't experience suffering. It doesn't arise. When we don't create complications and difficulties, it doesn't arise. We don't have to find more ways to complicate and create suffering just so we can see it cease. We can pay attention to non-arising. Attending in a way, realizing that truth of the non-arising of suffering. It is not there if we don't create it, if we don't make it, if we don't become it, if we don't be it. It is just, it's not there. It's self-inflicted. But again, it is something that has its proximate causes, the path leading to cessation of suffering. this Noble Eightfold Path, this path of balance, this path of just rightness, of sila, samadhi, panya, of virtue, of composure, of wisdom and discernment, and learning how to implement it, learning how to cultivate it, learning how to work with it, so that we do it. And of course, there's the tools that we have. 8 sets of tools is these 5 spiritual faculties, and become familiar, be comfortable, be well versed in how to recognize it, support it, nourish it, nourish them, and then to recognize that's also it's not just in any individual meditation. But it's also what we bring into our day-to-day life and take into the world with us. So I'll offer that for reflection.